Hello and welcome. My name is Christal Jordan, and I am the host of From Christal XO. And you know I'm here. We are here because every week we watch Put a Ring on It. And then on Mondays, Dr. Nicole, Master Coach from Put a Ring on It, Kojo from Little Black Book, and myself, we rehash, recap, and replay the entire episode so that we can get your feedback. We can talk about it. We can get in on what's happening with these couples. And this episode 6, of course, it's nothing. There's every week the couples come back and we're never disappointed. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you leave comments. You let us know what you think about our feedback and let us know your feedback so that we can keep this going, keep the conversation going. We are at week 6. And I think that we have reached a climax for most of these couples. What do you guys think?
No spoilers here.
It's too much. It's too much. I'll be honest with you. Listen, episode 6. We'll not say too much. There's so much going on. There was so much going on.
We're afraid to jump in, but there's so much happening. I mean, between Charlie and Otis. Are they over?
I'll go to the keys and went home. I'll go to the keys, say, listen, broom, broom, give me the keys, I'm ouch. Okay. Yeah. When she did that, I said, oh, baby. I'm not to go too deep into it too early, but when I saw that, I said, I hope she means it when she says she's going, because of us men, if you say you're going and you don't go, he ain't going to take you seriously ever, man. Do you know what I mean? So, with that much said, let's jump straight into our first segment then. Let's jump into our first segment. We had obviously Charlie and, we had a Charlie situation here with, I've got the wrong part. Sorry, you might have to edit this part. Apologies. Okay, cool. I apologize about that. We'll have to edit that part out for you guys. All right. So we had a situation here with Charlie's date, Chris, admitting to a few different experiences about dating girls who had boyfriends. I've been there before. I know what that's like. I've changed my ways now. But it was an interesting conversation. They got to open up to one another and they challenged each other to, I guess, share more intimate details on their second date. But let's dive in a little bit more to this clip and find out what was said on this date and talk a little bit more about how they managed to kind of, I guess, flirt a little bit as well.
My name is Chris Hobbs. I'm from Marietta, Georgia, and I'm 34 years old. I have dated a girl with a boyfriend before. It was fun, I'm not gonna lie. My game plan today is I'm just gonna be myself. I'm gonna put my charm on, get to know her, tell her a little bit about myself, and hopefully she likes it. I can feel the fire burn. Let's see what we can do.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Charlie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It's Ryan right here.
Yes.
Looking inside?
Yes, please.
My first impression of Chris is that he's athletic, he's very attractive. So I'm excited and hoping that we'll have a great conversation. And I'm not thinking about what happened with Otis or at the session at all.
Damn. Okay.
So you're from Atlanta?
Yeah.
Born and raised?
Marietta.
Oh, Marietta.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. I lived in Cali for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part?
Northern the Bay. I went to Stanford.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You played a sport?
I played football.
Okay.
Time out. Why did I have to play a sport? Damn.
I'm not trying to generalize you, but I played a sport in college.
What'd you play?
I played tennis.
Okay.
So you smart and you play football. Nice. Well,
I'm
nothing.
a little smart.
Are you hungry?
I might eat a little bit of it.
So how are you feeling about going out on dates with someone's girlfriend?
Man, I've hung out with people who had boyfriends before.
Wait, hold on. Hung out or
hung
have
out.
dated
Hung
or
out.
messed with, or what does that mean?
Uh,
Oh, is that like the
Why you-
easiest situation for you? Because you know how some guys, they are okay with girls having boyfriends because they don't want to have to spend too much time. They just want what they want. You can say it.
No, I'm not.
Why are you laughing?
If I get a second date, I guess we can go out there.
Oh, then you only gonna tell me if you get another date?
Yeah, what's the point?
That's
Yeah.
funny. Dang.
Chris is very attractive. He has this charming side to him, but I also feel that I would have to keep my eyes on him because he definitely gives me player vibes.
In college, I had a boyfriend the whole time.
Why would you do that?
It's not why would you? I didn't
You're in a
choose
whole-
to do it.
you're in a
I
whole
just
different
it
state.
happened. I just never been a wild girl. Well, I wasn't a wild girl in college.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it at all.
So are you a wild girl now? Okay, where'd you go?
I went to FAMU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My ex went to family.
What's her name?
We're
Maybe
gonna
I
skip
know.
out past that. Okay.
Oh, no, you're not skipping that. I need to know. What happened?
I thought I wanted somebody who had a high sex drive, but it was a lot.
For she had a high sex drive?
Yeah.
It was too high?
Like every morning before her meeting, every night, probably during the day if she could. We had a threesome
Oh,
multiple times a day.
like seriously? I ain't never heard nothing like this before. Just taking it all in.
Well, first of all, can we just say kudos to Chris for showing up as his authentic self?
Come on now.
You know, there are no opportunities for there to be red flags or yellow flag. Like Chris is who he is, and it actually it works. It works for him. So I love the idea of someone actually being honest, and then us being able to see that, okay, even in his truth, it's not repulsive to Charlie. She's going along with it. Now, I'm not sure if she's going along with it because later on in the date, she says, well, she realizes that he's a player, but she said, this is exactly what I need because of what she's dealing with Otis. So I do think that she seems very focused on Chris on the date, but I also think that we've talked about this couple being very strategic and they have a pattern. And I think the pattern is, I'm going to get you back. Oh, he was talking to someone in the DMs. Well, guess what? This guy is cute. He's being very open about what he's interested in and what his interests are, and she's okay. Well, this is okay with it because my intent is to be the winner. Again, it's like, I want to make sure that I'm the winner. So I don't believe that she's really interested in Chris, but it's funny because it does speak to Kojo. I think last episode you talked about understanding how guys that are emotionally manipulative and sometimes mysterious can come off as very attractive to females. Chris is being very, I've dated girls that have boyfriends before. She's like, is that fun? And he's being very honest and upfront. And that is coming off as attractive. Now, whether it comes off as attractive because she's trying to get back at her guy or not, I'm sure he doesn't care because it's working to his benefit. So it's just interesting because a lot of times we are in toxic situations and our escape from that, our revenge on that other situation is to jump head first or feet first into something equally, if not more toxic, because we haven't fixed our behavior. And so I don't think Charlie is taking this serious, but this could be an example of someone sliding into a situation that is equally as dysfunctional because you haven't accepted that the issue is you're focused on the other person and you're trying to play the tit for tat that we see Otis and Charlie do all the time. So I just think Charlie's better at doing it on a date than we've seen Otis, but this is definitely all towards getting back at him for doing the whole DM conversations with Milan.
What do you think? Do you think she's trying to get back at him on this date?
I think there is. She wore the freakum dress. Okay. She made sure she looking good. Okay. She says she's going to get him back. She's going to get him back this way. This is how she's going to do it. So she got a little bit of coverage in the way she does it, because I think, she, like she said, she, was in a relationship during college. She wasn't doing the whole bad girl act. I just want to make it, open here, Chris fellow telling the truth. I'm gonna say it again, it's also an art of seduction. If you don't know it, there's a psychology to telling the truth. We used to call it a double bluff. I tell you the truth, but it's actually, it's not a lie. It's a cover. So you're like, oh my God, he just tells me the absolute truth. So yeah, it's wild. But what you don't realize is, because she's also used to following the rules and doing the good girl act, I'm now become the complimentary act. So I'm now the quote unquote bad boy that has good boy qualities. Oh, he's truthful. He's honest. You know what? He's upfront. And suddenly I become attractive, right? But really what I'm saying to you is I'm emotionally unavailable. I ain't here for you and for a long time. I'm here for a good time. And oftentimes it's how people fall prey to it, because there's a key word in all of this. It's the D word, not sex, but desire. Because that's what I'm trying to start. That's what I'm trying to get from you. And that's what she feels she's missing. Because that's what people, that's the reason why I think Esther Perel talks about, it's about why people cheat. It's the D word, it's desire. We want to feel desired, right? And so if I can stir that in you, if I can make you feel like I'm desiring you, I'm wanting you, and I'm appreciating you in that moment, I need only for you to be weak for a moment. And then you fall prey. So, when he was telling the truth, I was like, go on, son. He's giving her the full-on game. Go on, full-on press. Go on, full-on press for the touchdown. But in all honesty, I think she is, reacting as well as the tit for tat, because they did have a conversation before she went on a date. And she did try to broker, he did try to broker. Sorry, our brother Otis did try to broker a conversation with her, trying to implement his father's tactics, which didn't go well, because he didn't realize that the tactic is not that you literally do exactly as your dad says, but you're meant to implement it in a way that institutes patience, understanding, empathy. You can't just implement it and think it's going to happen. So when she tells you she doesn't believe you, yes, sir, we need to see action and your words. And I think when he didn't do that, and he thought, why is it not working? He further incensed her and said, all right. Well, she said, all right, cool. I'm a double down. I'm going to make sure I stay on this dress, and I'm going to take myself out there, and I'm going to enjoy myself, okay? I'm going to let Chris talk all the smack he's talking. I ain't going to give him no space, but I'm going to let him talk the smack he's talking, and I'll get a second date, and hopefully that will annoy Otis enough. But I keep saying this is a zero-end game. Otis, for me, is willing to destroy the world to win this game. Charlie does not give me the impression she's willing to destroy the world to win this game. So that's short-sighted. So playing this game, hoping that he will feel some type of way, Otis, it won't work in the long run, because he's willing to go the further length. So yeah, I mean, that conversation between herself and Chris, if anyone tells you, listen, I don't mind dating somebody else's girlfriend, really what that means is we want to borrow that girl and send her back. Okay? We just want to let you know, we're borrowing and sending them back. Sorry to somebody's girlfriend.
He just don't mind going low today, huh? He just don't mind going low.
Putting us up on game. All the ladies, listen, Kojo is putting the ladies up on game to the fact that men are students of the seduction game. And Chris has all the necessary bells and whistles that it would take to probably pull that off.
Yeah, I don't think she's taking him seriously. She's hearing what he's saying. She's not taking him seriously. But I think the thing that is, when you talk about Otis is willing to blow up everything, right? He's willing to go dark and blow up everything. The thing that is insane is that when you blow up everything, you blow up you with it.
Yeah.
Right? So there is this seductive illusion that you blow up everything and you just walk away like nothing ever happened. It's called sabotage and self-sabotage for a reason. You don't get to blow up everything and not blow up yourself in it. So, when people are, especially men, right? Because a lot of times you will see men from an ego standpoint. They're willing to go to the end without much consideration of what the aftermath looks like. There's always an aftermath, right? So what's the casualty rate when you do all of that? And what is it going to take for you to recover, legacy to recover, whatever you blew up in the spot? Okay, for a moment, you may get to say, all right, well, I blew it up. But then what? What happens at that point? And what is do you even have any tools to rebuild after everything is ash, right? And everything is shrapnel and nothing can be recovered? Most of the time, the answer is no. So then really, did you sabotage everybody or did you really sabotage yourself?
Yourself and the poor people that will be that will have the misfortune of meeting you in the future, because you will take all those wounds, all that blood, the scars, and you dump it in front of someone else and tell them that it was the other person's fault. And they're like,
hopefully,
right.
Hopefully they're like, they did all that to you, did they? Okay.
Don't think he cares, to be honest, at that point.
Well, sure. Most people, it takes a whole lot of maneuvering to get to the point where you can blow up everything. You're coming out, you're avoiding, you're blaming everybody else. You can't see yourself. I mean, there's so much that goes into that.
Yeah.
But then when you do it and there's nothing but wreckage, right? There's something to be, you'll be held to account for that. You will be held to account for that. Whether that's karma, whatever that is, whatever your belief system is, it's coming. And it's coming when you least expect it, when you least want it, and when there's something on the line that's going to cost you. That's when it comes.
That last resort.
When it comes. Well, we are moving on to that. This, Charlie and Otis, I think they kind of play. They're both, yes, Otis may be nuclear and Charlie may not be, but they both are fighting and they're both, to me, equal worthy opponents. I don't know if I see Shorty and Kenneth in that way. At least the further on we've gone, it definitely does not seem like these two are on the same page. So this clip that we're about to see it's just the beginning of a really bad episode, a continuation of bad episode for Shorty and Kenneth. We see that he is just at his wit's end. He's trying to be romantic and trying to capture back, kind of hold on desperately to Shorty, what he really believes is who he's supposed to be with. And she's not feeling it. She is standing her ground. Shorty is committed to the put a ring on it process and getting out on the other side of this. Let's check out this clip when Kenneth is trying his hardest to get back to where they were before they came to the show. Shorty ain't having it.
I'm not gonna hold your hand.
Stop acting like that.
I'm serious.
Listen, come on, man. Let's relax.
I'm excited to take Shorty out on this date. I got my turtleneck on here. We just wanna start it off right, see if we can get something shaking in the right direction. It's been hectic around the house, a lot of tension. My goal is to get us back on track. It's gonna be hard. We're gonna work it out, though.
So what's up? What do you have set up for us?
It's your world. Whatever you like, for sure.
Whatever I like.
Most definitely. Man, see, that's that look that made me fall right there when you was over there behind me when I met you at that concert. Them old gleaming eyes.
Oh, my gleaming eyes is what won you over?
They were gleaming.
I bet they were gleaming, no doubt.
It's been like hectic these past couple of weeks with everything going on with our therapy and everything. We've been kind of roller coaster a little bit, but I see progress. Some things probably still need to get, touched down on and addressed. A lot. But for the most, I just want us to relax and just vibe and chill, you dig?
Ken is trying to lay it on thick. He's smiling. He's trying to be a little romantic. I'm over that. Lovey-doveyness is cool, but at the end of the day, there are dynamics that need to be worked out. If we're gonna live together forever, we can't just sweep them under the rug and move on like everything's fine. That's not realistic.
You look beautiful too, yeah. Come here.
You can't just move him for a kiss like that. You have to say or do something to make it like real. Come on now. Here's what I think. I think that your fear of losing me drives the way that you talk to me and what you're willing to tell me. I feel like when it comes to things that are easy for you to open up to, you open up, you know? And the things that are not, you don't.
Let's just table this for Dr. Nicole, because I don't want to, you know, ruin our nice little vibe. So not just like us, it's like stay in the focus of just loving each other and just remembering the good times for the moment. I mean,
No, that's cool. I just want you to know Dr. Nicole's not going to live with us forever. And you're going to have to, like, be able to hear what I have to say. So, like, I think in your mind, you feel like a lot of things will cause you to lose me. And it causes you not to open up. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I feel like it's just impossible to communicate with you when you go that hard and you don't hear nothing else.
Yo, that conversation was just about to get wild too. Poor boy Kenneth. It's so sad for Kenneth in that situation, you know? I mean, in this particular episode, I do empathize with him. You know, old girl hit him with the 1-2-1-2, you know, and it was so quick as well, the shift from gear 1 to gear 5, so quick. You know, I can understand why, you know, if she felt like he was laying it on thick, you know, trying to soothe over the sores of the relationship, you know, I could get that. But it's the way that she turned into long-range shooter. I mean, she instantly turned it around. Pew, 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 pew. Instantly, the guns were just going off. And you can see his face. He was like, you know, like, and it's she's got a sharp tongue. And in some occasions, this can be a great thing. But when it's not controlled and it's not done in a safer environment, this can turn into a lashing for somebody. And I think that's what we started to see was the beginning of a lashing, right? Because there is a way to inject certain information that is more difficult to digest, yeah? You don't just eat the whole lamb roast, you cut it up. And when she told what she wanted to tell, she wasn't cutting it up. She was feeding the whole lamb roast into his mouth and saying, eat, you know, digest this, take this all in. And it was a lot to hear. You know, I have no doubt she's absolutely right. You know, that he's operating from a place of fear. But sis, when you come at it like that, and you come in just boom, you know, not creating a safe space to have this kind of conversation. You know, you're at your dinner, which, you know, is meant to be you guys' time to maybe, I guess, enjoy, maybe simmer down. But that's the time you're going to choose to turn it into warfare. And listen, I talk about this a lot with relationships when I say, look, choose your domain very carefully, choose your terrain very carefully. If we're going to dinner, I can't be blindsiding you with, well, oh, we're gonna have a good time, but then I blindside you with a deep ass conversation where I wanna literally tell you all the bad things that you've been doing. If I've told you we're going to dinner to have a good time, and then I change the nature of the meeting on this terrain, you're causing the person distress on the other side because they haven't come ready and battle ready for that conversation. Then you get a defensive individual person relating to you rather than somebody who's open and wanting to be ready towards the conversation. And I think that's what we got in this situation with Kenneth and Shorty. So it was kind of painful to kind of hear the way that she kind of stripped him bare. And if the clip had gone on longer, you would have seen it more. I'm sure if you watched the episode, you've seen it. She did strip him bare. And he eventually had to tell her, look, like you beating up on me now. This is no longer became about how you feel, Shorty, or you felt like he's not matching your expectation. This became about you punching him emotionally and getting whatever frustration and resentment you had, getting it out then. Because had you sat down and thought about, how do I want him to receive this? Is it palatable? Is it digestible? This wouldn't have been the way that you explained it with the language that you used in that moment. It became unfortunately became very heavy and hard hitting. So I did feel for him in this instance. And, you know, like he said to her, I feel like you're beating up on me. And we did get to see that in this episode.
It's sad to watch couples go through opportunities that are missed. They don't turn towards each other. He's often trying to turn in to her, and she's turning in the other direction. And if you're going to work it out, you gotta be able to turn towards each other.
Yeah.
Even if it's a fun night, you know, some people can compartmentalize really well, right? So we cussed each other out 2 days ago, and tonight we're going out for dinner and we're gonna act like that never happened, okay?
Yeah.
Some people can do that, and they can call a real truce, right? And say, we're gonna have fun, we're not gonna bring up any of that. I don't even feel the need to. But if that's not the match, an aligned need of both people, then you've got to figure out, then how do you have fun? Talk about the stuff that may be deep if it comes up, but find a way to turn towards each other when you're doing that versus making it an opportunity to turn away and reject the person, right? Letting them know yet again, there is nothing that you can do that is going to pull me towards you. You can come over on my side, you can say a lot of things, you can make a lot of gestures. My active point of choosing in this moment is to move away from you and move in the other direction. And I think what we're starting to see now is a pattern of that for Shorty, right? We continuously see Kenneth going in and her going out, right? That is a very hard place for couples to recover. If you can't figure out why you got together, connect with moments and memories, see the intentionality behind the other person, and want to meet them somewhere in a space where you can both be, that's not a good thing, especially if that's what you do often. Because that's a place where you can start to heal and recover. But I think we're seeing a pattern now that her desire, if we're going to use Kojo's word, is something different.
Her desire is definitely something different. I also think that we see just so much resentment on Shorty's side towards Kenneth. And from my perspective, it just seems to be she resents him because he's not what she wants, right? So she talks about the dynamics that need to be changed. She talks about this in front of the other couples, and you know, with you all, it's very clear that she's like, you are not what I consider husband material. And that is a consistent, we've seen that since the very first show. It's almost like Shorty's resolve has become stronger and stronger as she goes on dates, as she keeps having these conversations, because there's so much built up resentment towards him not being what she wants. And he cannot, there's nothing he can do. Like it really was, he comes in, he's like, I got my turtleneck on, I'm feeling good. You can tell, you can see how much he admires her in the way he looks at her. And that energy is not reciprocated at all. And I'm wondering, like, you know, I remember having this conversation one time with my mom about my dad, because there was so many things that he did not do right. But once I learned more about him as I got older, I was like, oh, he never had the tools to do any of what you wanted anyway. Like that was never going to happen. And I feel like that with Shorty and Kenneth, I feel like the expectations that she has, first of all, they're her expectations. So for her to make the comment that he always wants women that are beautiful and out of his lane suggests that she has expectations she's put expectations on him. She sees herself a certain way, which is fine. But if she truly felt like that, I kind of go back to what Kojo said last week. If you really feel like the person's out of your, you know, is beneath you and not in your league, why are you entertaining them? You know, how did we get to the point where you were in love with them? That feels contradictory in itself. And it also is just a way to really make that person feel bad. For her to say to him, you know, in front of the group, that he always wants women that are out of his league. And then when he brought it up later, she's like, oh, what did you ask me about that? I said what I said. She's totally removed from him, from having any empathy towards someone that she says that she's in love with. And to me, it just seems like any possibility for her to feel him is blocked by her resentment for what she feels like she deserves and he's not that. And the crazy thing about it is he's seeing himself through her eyes. I don't know exactly what the dynamics, the only dynamics that we've heard are financial, right? So some women do consider that, a lot of women do consider being able to be a financial provider a part of being a husband, but there's much more than that. And I don't, with this situation, we just hear him being put down because he doesn't have the finances. So I'm not saying that he shouldn't get himself together, because I think that Fonzo gave him some great advice, but I also think there are women that may not see him as beneath them the way Shorty does. So I think he needs to be with someone that sees him, and she should be with someone that she's able to respect and that sees her, because she does not, it's like she can't even see in him anything that is remotely positive. We're just hearing her berate him at the point that you're doing that, and you can't even see why that statement is a bit, it's totally accusatory. There's nothing empathetic or loving in that, to say that he always wants women that are beautiful and out of his league. That doesn't say that she sees any type of future where that turns around for him. And I think it's really unfortunate, and it's going to continue to push his self-esteem down until he gets out of it and says, wait a minute, I may not be in your league, but there's nothing wrong with me. I loved you. It didn't work, and that's okay. And she needs to be with someone that she respects. She does not respect Kenneth at all. And I think the way she talks to him, not just in private, but also in public, the way she talks about the relationship with other guys when she goes on dates, it just totally shows that there's just a huge lack of respect. And I don't think that is all about Kenneth, but I do think there's obviously things about him that she feels don't, deserve her respect, which that may be something that Shorty needs to work on, herself. But it's just what we're seeing exhibited is really hurtful, and it's very dysfunctional.
It's hard to watch because people have to assert what their standard is and that they are good enough for their own standard. Before you come along and you say, you're not good enough for me, what's my standard? The definition of a problem is a deviation from the standard. That is the definition. If you want a problem, deviate from the standard. So if you don't have a standard for yourself that asserts where you believe you belong, what you believe you're worth, the level of respect that you believe you deserve, you are creating a problem because you don't even have a standard. And now somebody else comes along and they're like, you don't meet my standard. Well, that's a problem because you have nowhere to go. This is all now navigated by what they want and what they see or what they don't see. In your statement, Christal, you're like, I think there are women, out here. There are a lot of women out here that would think Kenneth is great. A lot. And they're not going to have the same issues that Shorty may have. But Kenneth is the first person that has to be able to say, whatever is coming from you to me is not welcomed. I can love you and still stand in a place of honor and respect for myself to be able to say, what you are doing is dishonoring me. And I don't have to go through your things to make myself feel powerful. I don't have to do a whole lot. I have to communicate and be willing to do something with my communication called action if you're not willing to self-correct. I give you the opportunity to self-correct. That conversation, what you said, the way you say it, the way you treat me is not welcomed. It goes beneath my standard. You're talking about standards. Let's talk about standards. I have a standard too. It goes beneath it, right? So I'm going to give you an opportunity to self-correct. There are things that you may not prefer or appreciate about me. You can give me an opportunity to self-correct. And guess what? If we don't correct, we don't have to be with each other. We don't have to try to pummel each other into a Build-A-Bear conversation. We are people, not Build-A-Bears, by the way. Build-A-Bear, it's fascinating. I was like, she pushed on a pedal and the thing went into the arm and all of that. And I said, oh, that's fascinating. That's kind of how we like to do with people.
Yeah.
I'm going to step on a lever, or I'm going to pull a lever, and I'm going to step on an item, and you're going to become more of. That is not the way it works with human beings. Because I love you, I can work on myself and be inspired to work on myself. Yeah. And I can work really hard at it, and I can be accelerated in it. I can be motivated in it. I can get resources and help, and I can make some changes because it's important to me in addition to you being important to me. It has to be both. But if it's just because it's what you want me to do, after a while, that loses steam. Because now you want me to be something, you want me to be a different person, right? We all have to change in relationships. If you're not changing, you're dying. If you're dying, you're not getting the benefit of this thing called growth in life. So when people are like, they want me to change, good luck. Everybody is going to bring change into your life. But when it comes to the place where I am going to criticize you, have contempt for you, to get you to be something other than who you are, the point of the matter is, it ain't about you. I want you to be something other than who you are. Well, then you don't want me.
That is so true.
Hard for us to swallow, right? Especially when we want to be wanted by that person, but you have to be wanted by you more. You have to, otherwise it becomes toxic. And it can become toxic for a long time to where you don't recognize who you came in as, and you don't like who you're leaving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we see that with all the couples, actually, it's interesting. Dr. Nicole, when I listen to what you're saying, I hear our perspectives are usually, Kojo comes from the male perspective, and I'm usually looking at the female perspective. And I see that in a lot of these situations, and consistently to me, the women feel like their happiness is much more important. When we see Kenneth go there, he's like, I'm trying to impress her. It's like he doesn't even feel that what he desires or what he needs or his standards are even, we're not even talking about that. We're just trying to make Shorty happy. This entire situation with Otis and Charlie, it's, even though Otis has a lot of issues, it still really is about what Charlie needs, not necessarily what he needs. And I think that idea is why a lot of times we hear happy wife, happy life. And we see men saying, but they're not in that equation. And I think that I've started to say, after becoming married, like happy house, happy spouse. It should not be, if the woman is happy, then everything is fine, because we see that that's not working. It does not work. It does not work. And I think that as women, we have to understand we are not the only person that's important in a relationship. Yes, he should woo you and he should court you, but you should treat him with respect. It has to be reciprocated. But speaking of happy spouse, happy house, moving on to Shay and Fonzo, we realize that we see there's disconnect in the way Shay interprets their relationship in so many ways. She feels she should be a part of his family in a different way. That has not happened. She feels he should stand up and, defend her and be more of an advocate. He has not done that. And, we talked last week a little bit about the fact that there was a ceremony, but there wasn't a certificate signed. There's just all this stuff happening. And Shay, in this clip, we hear Shay say that Alfonzo is her spouse. Again, she talks about him very much like that is her property. He belongs to her. This is mine. This is my spouse. And Dr. Nicole, you had to share with her just the definition of spouse is tied specifically to marriage.
Let's talk to Mr. Alfonzo and Miss Shay. What about your date, Tay Cherie and Asar? What did you think when you first saw him?
He was really nice looking, well put together.
So you get to the restaurant.
We sit down, conversation continues, everything is good, and boom, in walks Fonzo and his date.
Okay.
So as you walk in, if you see your mom, your dad, your brother, anybody you know, would you not say, hello, how you doing? Not Fonzo.
And once I sat down, she's like, oh, you gonna sound like, hey, how you
Fonzo,
doing?
I had to initiate, you don't see me sitting here? Did I not have to do that?
Yeah, because we
Okay.
as I was sitting down, she said,
Come on now, you was already sitting down and y'all was all of that extra.
and it went left. You know, arguing, cussing, and they ended.
At that point, you backing your chair up like it's a confrontation. And if it's a confrontation, I am not one to back down.
Is a confrontation what you wanted?
No, God, no. But what I did want and what I did expect was a certain level of respect. So with me just being in there with my spouse.
Spouse.
I am his spouse. This is my boyfriend. I am his girlfriend. This is my spouse. We're here because we want to get married.
Miss Shay, no disrespect. I want you to hear this the right way. They're not the same thing.
It is to me.
And that can be to you.
Right.
It's just not reality.
I mean, it's not your reality, but it's my reality.
No. In some spaces, that reality alone may have you seeing red, having expectations that are premature, having boundaries that are not appropriate. It's not going to help you get to the reality of what I think you want, is to actually be married and be husband and wife.
Dr. Nicole. So you know, there's a few things. She said that she did not want the conference. She said that when you put the chair back and it looks like it's a confrontation and I'm never one to back down. Again, Shay's version of what happened is not consistent with what we saw happen. And you can tell in Fonzo, the way he reacts when she's talking, you can tell he wants to say something, but he knows better. He knows not to. He understands that even when she comes and you're trying to very respectfully share with her that it's not about your reality or my reality, this is just facts. Spouse equals this. You can tell Fonzo wants to assert himself, but he won't. And he pulls back. And that lets you know that this pattern that this couple has is Shay acts out to get her way. And Fonzo kind of lets it happen. He's very, very passive aggressive. And she feels like she's in control if she's able to act out. But her interpretation of what happened with the young lady that they were on the date with, even her saying that Fonzo should have immediately spoken to her, and she mentioned if you're a mother, brother, or father, like it was totally off. Like it's just the way she thinks and the way she puts things together shows that there's something else happening here that she's not aware of. But she's acted like she was upset because he didn't acknowledge her. And then one sentence later, she says, well, you know, we walked in and you were just kikiing and laughing. If he's on a date and this is what we're doing and you're on a date with someone else, he's supposed to be engaging in that date. So at every opening, Shay has made it to where regardless of what Alfonso does, it's going to be wrong. And she's going to handle things the way she wants to handle them. Now, her inability to understand that if we haven't actually signed the marriage certificate, we're not married, you're not my spouse, I don't own you, never own a person, even when you're married to them. But it seems like she's just very blocked and there's a lot of denial happening there. Maybe that fits what she wants out of the situation. I was surprised to see that be her conversation, even after having the very heartfelt conversation with her mother and her aunt. She still is resolved to wanting things her way and not really being open to seeing that she plays a big part in the reason that Fonzo acts the way that he acts.
So often in relationships, there is no, there's often not an ability for people to really know whether they have the tools to make the relationship healthy. We get what we get from family, from education, from our religious experiences. There are some buckets that fit into, they pour into our belief system, right? And depending on what's poured in, that determines what tools you get from what was poured into you, right? Working with people as long as I have, I'm very clear that most people, they intend the best, they want the best, and they're really trying. The challenge is if you want a 2-story house, there's a structural difference between building 2 levels and building 1. So you may have the desire for 2, but you really only have the tools to build a dollhouse, right? But your desire can trick you, and real life can trigger you. And then when you pull out the tools that you do have and they don't work, most people in our community don't say, well, that didn't work. Where can I get the tool? Because we have brilliantly, some of our own doing, and some because of our very harsh past trauma, we've stopped up all of the opportunities to get tools and help. Those things aren't cool. Those things aren't, they're betraying yourself. What happens in this house stays in this house. If I hear that one more time, I swear I could just give me $1 every time somebody says it to me, right? So we plugged the opportunities to figure out how to grow our toolkit. So what you then get often is, well, I'm going to challenge that because my tools are fine. So now let's move in together. Working with you dating. So let's move in. No problem. Yes, we are moving in and we're going to get nice furniture and that's going to help. Then you have, well, we're almost married. Let me say to our audience, y'all don't get mad at me. Don't kill the messenger. I come in peace. There's no such thing. It's either married or not married. There's no almost married. So you go into these concepts, these altered universes, but you still only have the back of a shoe that you're trying to use as a hammer. And they don't work the same, but you only know what you know until you know something different. And that's why the conversation of coaching and the conversation of therapy and the conversation of mentorship and all of these conversations to help you grow are so meaningful. Because if all you've had is a back of a shoe, you don't want to tell anybody that the back of the shoe doesn't work, because that's not held in high regard in our community. You fake it, so that back of the shoe becomes a better back of the shoe, bad shoe. What are we talking about? The shoe is for walking. The shoe is not for building a 2-story house. So it's not until we're going to be able to change that conversation that folks like Shay will recognize and Fonzo will recognize we are not working with the right tools here. We are not, because there is no way that we can have tools that work and still use the back of a shoe. Nobody's using the back of a shoe if they have a hammer. You are not using my designer shoes. I'm just saying, in the name of all that's good and perfect, you're not using my designer shoes if we have a hammer. That only becomes the opportunity when you don't have the tools. So what we see with a lot of these couples, they have a desire for something in their relationship, but they don't have the tools to build it. So what they then do is try to hang a door with duct tape. It is not going to work like a hinge. And unfortunately, we don't say, let me go get a hinge. What we say is we need more duct tape, because nobody wants to say, my grandmama gave me this duct tape and the duct tape ain't working for the door. We would rather die. And I say it like the South, we want to die instead of saying, I don't know, but this duct tape's not working for this door. Let's go find something else. If we really want the door to give us privacy, swing both ways, have a lock, all the things they say this door is supposed to do, something is not right. So we're now in episode 6. We are now seeing everybody's box. The boxes are open. They're saying things like, this is my spouse, that protective defensiveness. They've gotten that from somewhere. All of this to not do the work and be submitted to the work. And that's going to make things harder for some and easier for others in the rest of this season. That I will tell you.
That was a little snippet of sneak peek, just a little. Didn't give us much, Kojo. Did not give us much.
Listen,
some. We'll see.
I won't say much. I'll leave on what Dr. Nicole even said. So I think she said what needed to be said in this particular aspect. But I think we're going to round up the show at this point, right? Because we've come to the end of it. And I know the audience saying, oh man, like you're ending it already. You wanted to hear more of our thoughts. But that means the show was doing what the show needed to do, which is provide you the entertainment that you needed and the edutainment, okay? Education and entertainment at the same time. So I want you audience members to do me a massive favor. Massive favor. You're enjoying it. Like the video, first of all. Subscribe to Own TV as well. And make sure you leave a comment in the comment box down below. Let us know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We want to know. Put it down below. And don't forget as well also to follow Dr. Nicole on Insta, on Twitter, and on YouTube at Arts.Nicole. And Arts also Christal XO on YouTube. Follow myself also on YouTube, Little Blackbird 91. It's been one of those good conversations once again. But again, I urge you, leave your comment down below. We want to know what your thoughts are. And make sure you like, share, subscribe as well. Audience members, don't do anything I wouldn't do. There's not much I wouldn't do. So be careful out there. Appreciate you guys.
Look, Kojo, go buy a hammer. Hammer.